Call to order the regular board meeting of February 21st, 2023. And again, we'd like to welcome you to the Buchanan Community Schools Board of Education meeting here. All of our meetings have been posted throughout our district, on our website, in our central office, in each of our district buildings. Tonight's agenda is posted on our website, and there's also a copy in the back if you would like to pick up a copy and follow along with the meeting program tonight. Our board members do receive the board packet ahead of time, so that way they can review the documentation and be prepared to participate in the meeting, to answer questions, make comments, and so on as part of the duties of their office. The meeting of the Board of Education is for public purposes of conducting the school district's business. It is not to be considered a public community meeting. The board does recognize the value of public comment related to educational issues, and we do allow the expression of public comments within the district during this meeting at that public comment portion that is on the agenda. And if someone is wishing to address the board, there is a public comment card that can be filled out, so that way a response can be appropriately provided as soon as possible. With that said, let's stand and do our Pledge of Allegiance.
Capella.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Carlson.
Here.
Miss Berry, absent. Miss Brackett, absent. Miss Lesh here. Dr. Carlin, absent. Miss Rader. Here. And Dr. Burnett.
Here. Moving on to item D, adoption of the agenda. May we have a motion, please?
I motion the agenda for the board meeting of February 21st, 2023 be adopted as written.
Support.
All right. And roll call.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Miss Lesh, yes. Dr. Carlin. Oops, sorry. Miss Rader. Yes. And Dr. Burnett.
Yes. Moving on to recognition of visitors, and we'd like to welcome you all. And Ms. Robinson, anything else to add?
We say ditto, and especially our student. We like seeing students here in the audience, and especially our staff and our award winner as well. So thank you guys for coming out.
All right, very good. Moving on to points of pride. And
Thank
we're
you.
looking at our Buck staff appreciation.
So, So every month, we go through, and I'm going to list all the nominees. So we had Angela Smith, Buchanan Community Schools Food Service, Brittany Thomas, Buchanan Middle School Paraprofessional, Jenny Rarig, Moccasin Paraprofessional, Lacey Chase, Bus Driver, Lisa Eliason, EnviroClean Buchanan High School Custodian, Lisa Gregory, Moccasin Second Grade Teacher, Mark Curlin, Assistant Superintendent of Instruction and Operations, Michael O'Shea, Bus Driver, Michelle Munyon, Executive Administrative Assistant, Michelle Trail, Operations Utility Staff, Missy Lyons, Buchanan Middle School Special Education Teacher, Nate Will, Transportation Supervisor, Stacy Dennison, Ottawa Principal, Stacy Lee, Buchanan Middle School Special Education Teacher, and Vicki Toms, Moccasin Paraprofessional. And this month, our winner is Ms. Kaltenbach, and I am going to read. So below is the question and response to what was submitted. What do you appreciate about this person's efforts to make Buchanan Community Schools a great place to learn and a great place to work? And so it is said, Becky is the main driving force behind the wonderful breakfasts and lunches we eat at Buchanan Community Schools. Her compassion, dedication, and willingness to help goes above and beyond expectations. More times than I can count, Becky has helped me navigate questions and requests with enthusiasm in her area of expertise. She also has been such a help when needs arise like copies. She has saved me on numerous occasions. Thank you, Becky. with a lot of apostrophes. So on behalf of the Board of Education and Administration of Buchanan Community Schools, we thank you for your service and encourage you to keep up the great level of achievement and service to our district. Thank you.
Very good. Let's give a round of applause. And we have specialness for you
Yeah.
right here. Oh, come on down.
Get up. I know, I'm trying. I like this. You can shop at Buchanan only, no?
All right. And we're moving on to the Moccasin Food Drive.
Yes, we just want to highlight and congratulate our students at Moccasin Elementary for collecting so many items. There was a challenge put out to them, and I think the goal was, 2,500 items, and they surpassed that. And we're able to get 3,500 items.
Wow.
And as a reward, they were able to duct tape their principal to the wall. And so the good thing about this is that will be highlighted in one of our district spotlight videos that Charles Nelson is putting together. So you guys will be able to see the collection point up until the point where they count and then duct tape Mr. Babcock to the wall. So it is all documented. So congratulations again to the efforts of the staff and students and families of Moccasin Elementary.
Congratulations. We like to do a replay on the duct taping live stream.
3 football fields duct tape.
Oh, wow.
Let's redo it again. I like to see it again. Mr. Babcock, I think you have more to add, or is there more to add?
Presentation or just?
What was that? I'm lost.
He's gonna.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he has a presentation.
Okay, never mind.
We'll add a little bit during the presentation.
Okay, very good. All right, well, congratulations. Good job. All right. All right, moving on to item G, superintendent and department reports. Anything else to add, Ms. Robinson?
Nothing else.
All right. Now we move on to presentations. Right, I'm right there. And I think that's Mr. Babcock.
That is.
Wait for the.
You can tell the power of the principal. He just nods and they.
It comes on.
Such power.
President Burnett, Mrs. Robinson, members of the school board, thank you for giving me the opportunity to showcase some of the fantastic things that are happening at Moccasin. Our vision this year is Moccasin will create a safe and positive learning environment where students will achieve grade level skills. And over the next 5 to 10 minutes, myself and my friend, Harper Herman, 4th grade student, will talk about how we are currently achieving those goals. So I want to highlight during this presentation 2 things that are supporting our vision this year that we're going to talk about. 1, improving learning, and that should be a 2, building community. So first, let's start talking about improving learning. So we currently have several systems in place at Moccasin Elementary, even before I started in August. And one of them is 100 minutes of Tier 1 instruction in reading and math daily. And this is really where the magic happens and where we're seeing a lot of our growth in the general education classrooms. Teachers have worked hard during grade level PLCs over the past few years and have established pacing guides, which essentially have driven instruction and has really got us achieved a lot of success in the classroom. 2, for students who need a little bit additional support, we have math and reading intervention. For those students, we have 2 highly qualified teachers, retired teachers, who see these students between 20 to 25 minutes a day. And then 3rd, we have what we call What I Need or When. And this is led by classroom teachers, and it's essentially working on specific skills, whether it's 2nd grade working on those phonics skills, 3rd, 4th grade. Currently right now we're working on inferences and being able to identify key ideas. So that happens 25 minutes a day, 4 days a week. So next, the proof is in the pudding, and I want to look at our NWEA results and do a little comparison between the fall and the winter. I'm going to break this down a little bit better so it's easier to read. But this is, colors. We, identify kids by colors, and with the NWEA, you see that green and blue, that's where we want to be. That's where we want to have our students by the end of the year. So you'll see on this particular slide, we have reading, fall to winter comparison. And at the top, okay, these 2 are 2nd grade. And this top bar is 2nd grade in the fall. This is like the first week of school. So you see less green, less blue, and more red and more orange. Okay, green and blue is proficient, and blue is highly proficient. So you go down to the next bar, 2nd grade, this is winter. This is what we want to see. We're seeing more green and more blue. We had significant growth in the 2nd grade classrooms. Next, we have 3rd grade. Okay, reading. We have a decent amount of blue. They came in pretty strong, a decent amount of green. Okay, and here on this bottom bar, you see more blue and more green and less red. And the same holds true for the 4th grade down here. Here's the fall. They came in very strong with a lot of blue and then a decent amount of green. And then right here, we see a little less blue. Okay, and we'll tell you why that occurred in a little bit when we break some things down. Here is the math fall to winter comparisons, and here is 2nd grade, how they came in, the blue and the green and more red, and you see how it's growing here and shrinking here. Same thing with the 3rd grade math. Right here you have the fall, and then tremendous gains right here in the winter. In fact, we have 60% of our students in 3rd grade math who are proficient. And then 4th grade, lots of green, blue, and then more green in the winter. So a little bit of a breakdown to put it by numbers. Right here we have 2nd grade, proficient, and this also includes highly proficient. You see that fall initial number, 31% of our students were proficient in reading in 2nd grade, 17-point jump. And you see the decline in the approaching proficient and the below proficient. Same with math. Great gains in 2nd grade, fall, winter, 7-point change. Okay, and you see the below, this is what we want to see, the approaching and the below numbers decreasing. 3rd grade reading, we have gains, we have over half of our students proficient or highly proficient in reading, and you see, a little decline here in the approaching proficient. Math, look at this number right here. 60% of our students are proficient or highly proficient in 3rd grade math. And then 4th grade reading, you see some growth moving in the right direction. 54% of our students for percentage point change in reading. Now, math here, you're wondering, what's going on? 62, this is an extremely strong number right here. 62% of our kids coming in the fall proficient or highly proficient. We saw 11-point drop. We're looking at the beginning of the year with our fall tests and our scores. They're being tested on end of the third grade, beginning of the fourth grade levels type skills. Right here, we saw 11-point drop, and we see this traditionally during this time of the year due to the fact that they have not covered geometry, long division, and fractions. Those are second semester concepts that are being taught right now as we speak. So we are confident that this will bounce back up in the spring, and even when we see the M-STEP. Here's another great growth piece here. This is a couple times a year we have testing for PSI. We call it PSI testing, or phonics skills. On the left, you see this pie graph. The pink is short vowel skills. Those are beginning phonics skills for second graders. You see 61% of our students here in September are in beginning of the year phonics skills. And then the yellow is complex phonics skills. We have 36% of our students in this level, and only 3% of our students in September tested out of phonics. Complex skills are like blends, like BL and the CL and the CH and TH sounds. Here, December, you see great growth with 7% of our students here in the pink who now need support with short vowel skills compared to that 61% here. And now we have 68% of the kids in yellow in the complex phonics skills, and 25% of our students who have tested out. So fantastic progress by our second grade students. So where do we go from here? So as mentioned earlier, proof's in the pudding with the data. So we're strategic in how we're moving forward with our win groups. We identified, especially with our third and fourth grade win groups, our third and fourth grade students, that areas of focus are key ideas, theme, drawing conclusions, and inferences. This was evident through the NWEA winter testing. And the teachers were on board with, yeah, these are skills that need to be reinforced in the classroom. So during that 20 to 25 minute win time that we have for third grade and fourth grade, we are working on these skills to hopefully move those students who are currently struggling to move them forward in preparation for the M-STEP and the fall NWEA. Second grade, simply put, will continue with the foundations and phonics skills work during win groups. Math, as mentioned just a few minutes ago, will focus on skills not mastered before NWEA, such as long division, geometry, and fractions. We will spiral. We'll continue to drill the basics for previously learned skills, and of course those math facts to reinforce those in the classroom and at home. Next year, Wonders will be implemented, our new curriculum for next year, 23-24 school year. We have the materials. We've had initial training. We will have an additional training before the end of the school year. We're hoping this will reinforce the skills for the students and continue to move us in an upward projection. Our focus will still remain on the essential standards and the work put in, the pacing guides, and we'll work vertically and horizontally to fit Wonders alongside those essential standards. And second, I want to talk about some fun stuff here, obviously, okay? Not that data isn't fun, but building community, okay, that's what we want to do at Moccasin. And it's part of our school vision. So how are we building a positive environment at Moccasin? Some things to highlight. We've had a family literacy night. This is a picture of Mrs. Haroff, who has invited parents into her classroom after school, and these are literacy activities and games that parents and students participate together, working together, and learn how to take these activities home and work with your child for, additional practice. So that's one example. Another thing, third grade cookies and canvas. Okay, sounds really fun, and it was fun. It was an afternoon in the gym where parents are invited into the building, and students and parents are painting polar bears while eating cookies. How fun is that? Third grade cereal box drive. We collected 150 boxes of cereal and donated them to RAM right before the winter break. You see there, they lined them up and they did the whole domino thing and knocked them all down. So that was fun. Pen pals. This is something that a couple teachers within the building do. They write and they talk about the good things happening at Moccasin and Buchanan. And they write it up in a letter and they send it to 16 different schools across the country, and they communicate back and forth. So another fun community building type of activity. And now, I had a slide there, Harper. And now I'm going to bring Harper Herman up, and she's going to talk a little bit about student council. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Harper Herman. I'm a fourth grader at Moccasin Elementary School. I am here today to talk to you about Student Council. I am a part of Student Council, and it is so much fun. There are 2 representatives in every classroom. 2 candidates made a poster and wrote a speech. Student Council members promote good citizenship, leadership in school spirit, and community service. So far, Student Council has done caroling at Buchanan Meadows. Students throughout the building made cards for residents. We also delivered cards, sang Christmas carols, and visited with residents. We also had a food drive. All grade levels had a competition on who could get the most canned goods. We needed 2,500 items, and we made that goal. So we got to take Mr. Babcock to the gym wall. Then Student Council members counted, loaded, and delivered items to RAM. Student Council will plan Spirit Weeks and plan additional community service projects. Student Council is also planning activities during March's Reading Month. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you were able to get a little glimpse into our Student Council.
Very good.
So Harper, how many items did we collect?
3,343.
Yeah, 3,343. So thank you guys for your time. We look forward to continuing developing, maintaining Moccasin as a safe, positive learning environment. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Babcock. Good job. Good job.
Mr. Babcock, I wanted to say thank you for being a new principal, and you're always very present outside the building during drop-off, that safe environment. I feel that when I drop my son off every day, but you're very present. You're out with them and when they're lining up before school, you're out, in the front, you're all around, and I see you all the time. So I just want to say your presence is definitely seen and it's appreciated. So
Thank you.
thank you.
That.
Yep. Good job.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, executive team update. Mr. Curlin?
Mr. Curlin. Yep.
My God, will Phil start mine too. I don't have the same stroke. There we go. Good evening. I'm Mark Curlin. I'm the Assistant Superintendent. I'm here to report on the 98B goal reporting, which is part of PA 48, Section 104A. Obviously, last year was the first year that we implemented this in the district. It's required by law, and we're just here to report out today. If you remember last year, we decided as a district that we would use K through 8 benchmarks in NWA, and then 9 through 12 with high school created a local assessment in ELA, and they continued to go with that this year. Each year, you have to report your mid-year scores to the board by February, and then by the end of the year in June, which we did. This year, just to break it out a little bit more specific, and we did this last year, but maybe we didn't report it out as well and wanted to specifically specify it this year. The mid-year goal for the district was that the growth in each grade level would be at the 40th percentile in NWA. They put out a chart for us to look at. And so, for example, the 40th percentile in kindergarten would mean that 60% of your kids in kindergarten would reach their growth goal from the beginning of the year to the winter. And then first grade and second grade is also 60%. And then third grade is 59%, fourth grade 60%, 62% in fifth, all the way up to eighth grade, which is 56%. So NWA breaks it down of what specific each grade level is supposed to do at 40th percentile, and then they do the same thing for reading. So reading was at 62%, just for example. Third grade was at 52%, and then eighth grade was at 51%. Then they do the same thing, we'll report at the end of the year at the 60th percentile. So when Mr. Babcock was up here saying that, his kids were proficient, that's a little different, okay? What we're trying to do is we're trying to look at kids that are reaching their goal. So he's talking about moving kids from one color to another, that's great, that's what they want to do too. We're looking at it overall of each individual kid and where their starting point was. And so what we're reporting on, did a kid reach their goal from beginning of the year to the mid-year? So it might have been 6 or 8 points by the full year, and at the mid-year where they may be 3 points ahead overall. So for example, let's just take a little bit and look at what some data shows. So looking at math, for example, kindergarten, the goal at the 40th percentile, middle of the year was 60%. We were at 43%. If you skip to maybe second and third grade, which Mr. Babcock showed his numbers were up there, we might as well show them, all right? If that was at 60% of those kids met their goal, mid-year he was at 68.1% for all students. In third grade, he was at 62.4%. Fourth grade, now, and he brought this up, that the goal was 60%, that's what we were looking at, and 38% of his kids met their goal at the mid-year, which seems low, but as he pointed out, his kids were already high at the beginning of the year, so it was tough for them to raise up a little bit. So then we break it down by gender, male and female. We also break it down by ethnicity, economically disadvantaged, English learners. You have to break this out as part of the report. So where do we use this data? Mr. Babcock's already gone in depth already, so when I meet with him, it'll be a quick meeting because he's already went in depth, looked at things. But what we'll be doing in every building is talking with the principals, kind of talking with them, seeing where they think they're at. Sometimes this data, when you go into a special ed meeting or a child study meeting, they may ask you, where does this kid rate compared to gender or to their grade level? So you might be able to say, well, he didn't reach his goal, but 75% of the kids met their goal, so that shows that kid may need some extra help. So that's an example for math. If you look at reading, for example, so kindergarten, 40th percentile was 62%, and they were at about 45%. First grade was at 62%, they were at about 30%. Then you get to second and third grade, they were real close to their goal or above. If you look at fifth grade, the goal, the 40th percentile was 57%. They were at about 56.8. Sixth grade was at 54. Their mid-year score was about 50%. And then if you look at eighth grade, their goal mid-year was 51%, and they were at 61%. So you can see we're above and below depending where we're at, but that just kind of gives you an idea for all students. Again, we break it down by male and female and ethnicity. Sometimes you won't see a score in there. It's not applicable, meaning there weren't any students. If you look at special ed, obviously that's going to be a little lower sometimes. Sometimes it's hard to look when you just see a percent. If you see 100% for reading first grade, there may only have been one student in there or maybe two in that category. But it does give you an idea. Economically disadvantaged, obviously we're at about 50% for the district, so that's something we definitely look at. English language learners, we had about 8 kids, now we're down to about 5 or 6 in the district. That's the NWA math and reading. High school, has their own locally created ELA assessment, dealing a lot with vocabulary at each grade level. And their goal, or their goal has been all students will show growth. It's a mid-year test, end-of-the-year test. They're at about 10% to 15%, depending on the grade level for all students. Brian and I spent some time kind of looking at the data late last week, early this week, and just kind of looked at, he definitely wants to look at where the SPED students are looking at. We also talked about he's not necessarily real happy with the assessment, so he may look at a different assessment next year. He and I talked about maybe using PSAT, maybe going to 3 times a year would kind of get us a little bit more in line with NWA 3 times a year, and using PSAT as that leads into the high school SAT. What questions do you have for me? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. All right. Very good. All right, moving on to information and reports, Parent Advisory Committee.
Yep, just really quick, we met on January 19th. And I think there were about 9 people at this meeting. We talked about our approach of going with the Boys and Girls Club of Southwest Michigan, what that might look like. And I also asked for just members of that team to be part of a board for the Boys and Girls Club. And we're still looking into that, working on that. We also talked about, discussed a little bit about the high school pipes issue that broke out over the winter recess, which then led us into a discussion about our upcoming bond and updates. So, and that was back in January. And then also we talked about the school resource officer starting and what their role would look like. So that was pretty much it from our parent advisory meeting.
Okay. Very good. Any questions from board members? How about the superintendent of Buck parents conversation?
Yes, I had one meeting on the 25th, and I had one community member to attend that meeting. We spent about an hour in conversation just on various topics. So pretty much those meetings are open. I do not have an agenda. I have information there just in case if somebody asks questions, but really it's the community bringing questions to me and wanting to know more about what's happening in the district.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Human Resource Committee?
I can report on that. So we met on February 1st, and that's with Mrs. Berry, Mrs. Lush, Mrs. Robinson, and Mrs. Brunsting. And the first thing that we discussed were resignations. And that's always a problem, especially in mid-year. And that's just the reality of the current employment situation in schools. And then we discussed our new hires, and we're very excited to welcome those who are new hires. There will be a job fair on March 30th at IUSB that Mrs. Robinson and Mrs. Brunsting are going to attend, and so hopefully we'll find some additional new hires. We discussed the open positions, and I'm pleased to say that we've hired 3 of those that were open, or 4 maybe even. And then we also discussed Grow Your Own, and that's where we submitted a grant to Michigan Department of Education for 3 current staff members to be certified by December of 2026. And so we're really excited for this opportunity for our own staff and growing our own future teachers. We also discuss such issues as, are we as a district encouraging and subsidizing professional association dues, and how many of our teachers are part of those professional organizations? There's one for English teachers, science teachers, ag teachers, social studies teachers, and there's always a wealth of information. And then finally, we also discussed our email response policy between teachers, administrators, and parents. So it was, it's always a good meeting. Lengthy, but good.
All right. Any questions? Very good. Let's move on to Facilities Planning Committee.
We met on February 3rd, which was a Friday night, which was an interesting meeting.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mrs. Munyon. For the board, Mrs. Ryder, Mrs. Berry, and myself, and the district team members that were there was Mrs. Robinson, Mr. Curlin, and Mrs. Brunsting. Mr. Curlin gave an update on the heating repairs from Christmas break. We also spoke about a restroom update at Moccasin, which helped with ADA. We're not quite 100% there, but it's much better than it was. Some HVAC work is going to be done this summer at Ottawa, which should take care of the humidity issues and things like that. Quite a big project. We had bond updates, which we discussed tonight in the work session. Chris Garrity was also at that meeting for a piece of it. And to go along with that, we discussed an owner's rep, which comes up for a motion later in this meeting. So as part of the bond, it's hiring a outside company that doesn't really have a dog in the fight. So they are looking out for our best interests, and that's what we're paying them for. If things aren't done right, it doesn't cost them any money. So they are our representative to make sure things are on time, on budget, and being done how they should be done. I believe that was it.
Questions? All right.
We all
Band fund.
voted for all Friday night meetings, right?
Yeah, it was our date night.
Right.
Oh, my. Band fundraising.
Before I get to that, can I add one celebration that
Yeah.
I forgot? So I forgot to celebrate that we have portable bleachers now at our middle school.
Yes.
So we'll be able to have,
Yay, sit.
middle
Yay, we
school
can sit.
basketball games there. And tomorrow night, the girls, I believe the girls will be playing their last home game there. So it starts at 5:30. So if you're available, go out and see, and we'll have seating for our spectators.
Yay.
All right. Okay. Hello, distinguished members of the board. On behalf of our award-winning band program, I would like to invite you to participate in our month-long March for Band fundraiser. We have partnered with a number of local businesses to make this event a success in hopes of supplying our band with new uniforms. First, there are 4 give-back events taking place on the following dates. February 21st, Silver Beach Pizza in St. Joseph. Head on over after this meeting, according to Mrs. Russell. March 11th, the Sweet Shop. March 12th through the 18th, the Union Coffee House. March 29th, Bucktown Nutrition. Flyers will be made available on all band social media prior to each event. Just show the flyer when you visit each restaurant. Also, be on the lookout for the March for Band tip jars at local businesses around town. Each business not hosting a give back night are participating. Even businesses not participating, not hosting, let me start that one over. Even businesses not hosting a give back night are participating, so be on the lookout for a jar with the logo March for Band. Thank you for all you do to support the many successful programs that Buchanan Community Schools has to offer. And this is from Mrs. Russell.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome. They got me for popcorn, so I'm still eating on that. Very good. Let's do the Buchanan Scarecrow Charities.
So yes, our district received a couple of donations, scholarships. So we received $620 for 2 Buchanan High School students to attend the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Conference. Winners are Cameron Carlson, or Cam Carlson, and Dane Figgy. Alternates are Elena Hitchcock and Brody Bryans. We also received $1,000 to the Megahertz Robotics Team, 5056, to participate, to purchase items they need for their new facility.
Nice.
So we'll be asking
Awesome.
for your acceptance of those.
All right. Nice. And the next one?
Mr. Sokolowski won and was presented with 12 boogie boards for his classroom on behalf of the Hagee Agency of Mimic Insurance. And Mimic constantly provides opportunities for our students or our teachers to win things, basically each month.
Awesome. Nice. Congratulations to all of them. Very good. Any other comments? All right. Moving on to item J, public comments. Per Buchanan Community Schools Bylaw 0167.3, which governs public comment at board meetings. Each participant may speak once during the meeting for up to 3 minutes. Participants shall direct all comments to the board and not to staff or other participants. The board will listen, take comments and questions under advisement and not respond to at this time. As president, will refer questions to the superintendent for research and response in a timely manner. Please ensure your public comment card includes your contact information as desired for a response. And if you have specific questions for the board that require follow-up, please email those directly to the board president. And with that, I have no comment cards?
I don't have any either.
No? Okay. Let's move on to item K, adoption of the consent agenda. May I have a motion?
Okay, I'll make the motion that the Board of Education approves the consent agenda for the regular meeting on February 21st, be adopted as written. It includes minutes from our January 17th meeting as well as the February 6th special meeting, the treasuries and expenditures reports, the contract for Paula Tusick on the extracurricular contract, recommendations to hire from Mrs. Dennison, Mr. Will, and Mr. Babcock. The recommended hires are Jennifer DeWolf, Kimberly, I'm going to say it wrong, Oleson, and Haley Klein, as well as a recommendation for the winter 2022-23 athletic coordinator, or from Mr. Franzak, to hire Jeff Griffin as a 7th grade girls basketball coach, and then the employment departures of Carlos Sanchez K. Tolarek on June 8th, 2023. Patty, I'm going to butcher all of these names, DeBouvar, the Moccasin Noon supervisor, and Marie Smerzak, as well as Sandra Miller from coaching the 7th and 8th grade girls track coach. However, she's still employed as a teacher.
Support.
Anything else to add, Ms. Robinson?
Nope. Just welcome to all of our new hires.
Okay. Question or comments from board members? All right. Roll call.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Berry?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item L1, the 2023 close-up proposal. May we have a motion, please?
I move the Buchanan Board of Education approves the close-up trip to Washington, D.C. from March 12th, 2023, returning March 17th, 2023, in accordance with Board Policy Number 2340, under the supervision of Mr. Tony Dionellis.
Support.
Ms. Robinson?
This is a trip that we do every year. I think the sponsors who are heading this each and every year, making sure that our students have this opportunity.
All right. Any questions from board members?
I will say that this started in 1982, and I think this year we're close to 500 students who've been participating over these many, many years. I am just so excited for the students and the teacher who gets to learn a lot as well. So,
All right. Roll call.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Berry?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Ms. Ryder?
yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item L2, the School Resource Officer 2023-2025 agreement, and everybody was provided an updated version of that. May I have a motion, please?
I motion the Buchanan Community Schools Board of Education approves the attached memorandum of agreement with the Buchanan Police Department for a school resource officer effective January 9th, 2023 through December 31st, 2025.
Support.
And Ms. Robinson?
Yes, so we provided a revised or an updated copy based off of some recommendations from our attorney. Many of them are really spelling out Buchanan Police for law enforcement. One of the other big changes was the just adding FERPA, spelling that out within one of the areas, and then attaching an outline of the budget and the payment. So those are big things from our attorney that we needed to add.
All right. Any questions or comments from board members? And just to update you, the SRO did complete team training the week before last and the SRO training, which ended last week. So all up and trained. All right, roll call.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Berry?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
And I think I can abstain from that one. All right.
Yep.
Moving on to item L3, support staff leave requests. May we have a motion, please?
I move the Buchanan Board of Education grants unpaid leave of absence to Mike Cornelius, maintenance worker, from March 20th through March 27th, 2023, for a total of 6 days.
Support.
Yeah, Ms. Robinson, anything to add?
Nope, just, this is because one of our policies requires that we bring any unpaid leave to the board for approval. So they're going through that process. He's going through that.
All right. Any comments, questions? Roll call.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Berry?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item L4, support leave request.
I make a motion, the Buchanan Board of Education grants Rebecca Day, Ottawa paraprofessional, March 27th off with pay to be drawn from a personal day.
Support.
And Ms. Robinson, anything else to add to that?
Pretty much the same as the other policy, so.
Okay. And any questions? Roll call.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Berry?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item L5, certified staff maternity leave.
I move the Buchanan Board of Education grants maternity leave to Haley Sater, Moxon third grade teacher, for 6 weeks beginning from approximately May 1, 2023, in accordance with Article 8, Section B.2.d, using accumulated sick days. Barring any complications, she would return to her position as Moxon third grade teacher at the beginning of the 23-24 school year.
Support.
And Ms. Robinson?
Just congratulations, and we know that she still has up until May, so we just wish that hope that she gets through it, and I saw her the other day, so yeah, pretty much. We're excited about this for her, so.
Awesome. Any questions, comments? And roll call.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Berry?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item L6, BVA graduation certification. May I have a motion?
I move upon satisfactory completion of the district requirements for high school graduation. The Board of Education hereby approves Buchanan Virtual Academy students Brandy Thomas and Travis Mundy, and Buchanan Step Up student Summer 10 Eck.
Support.
And Ms. Robinson?
Congratulations to our graduates.
Very good. Congratulations. Are in order. Any other comments, questions? Roll call.
Mr. Carlson?
Yes.
Ms. Berry?
Yes.
Ms. Lesh, yes. Ms. Ryder?
Yes.
Dr. Burnett?
Yes. Moving on to item L7, donation approvals over $1,000.
I make a motion, the Buchanan Board of Education approves the following donations: to assist Megahertz Robotics Team 506 with purchasing needed items for their new facility. From the Buchanan Scarecrow Charities, $1,000.
Support.
And Ms. Robinson.
Thank you again to Buchanan Scarecrow Charities for their donation.
All right. They do very good supporting of different activities and things throughout Buchanan. So, any other comments or questions?
It seems like every month or every other month, they are donating some dollar amount to the school, although normally it's not high enough to get to here, but we do hear about it, and we appreciate
Yeah.
everything they give back to every one of the buildings and the programs we have here.
Yes. All right. Roll call.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Ms. Berry.
Yes.
Ms. Lush, yes. Ms. Ryder.
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett.
Yes. Moving on to item L8, letter of intent for elite companies.
Go ahead.
Okay. I move the Buchanan Board of Education has selected elite companies to provide support for our upcoming bond vote. Support the project team through requesting meetings, social media presence, and all applicable means possible.
Support.
All right. Ms. Robinson.
This gives our group, our team approval to work with this team elite who is an owner's representative for the bond projects. They'll be at the table, really getting into some of the project details and speaking on behalf of the board and the district. So,
Okay. Any comments or questions? All right. Roll call.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Ms. Berry.
Yes.
Ms. Lush, yes. Ms. Ryder.
Yes.
And Dr. Burnett.
Yes. Moving on to item, excuse me, M, question comments for board members. Before we do that, just a quick, want to throw it out there for getting some feedback about the motions that we make. And it's more about, do we want to continue to do what we do as far as making motions, or should we have some kind of, I guess, system to it, I guess? And it just came up, so I wanted to bring it for a discussion to see what you guys think.
Do you have an example of what you mean by system?
Making sure that as we make motions, that it's pretty evenly distributed as far as board members making motions, stuff like that.
I think I have just a suggestion. So when we talk about if it's a motion pertaining to maybe one of our committees, that the person that is in the committee maybe make it? Would that be, I mean, that's what they talked about when we did our School Board 101 or whatever, to kind of, or like Ms. Ryder has got the close-up, so she tends to take the close-up
Yeah.
motion.
Okay.
So, but
Yeah. So
I
what
don't
do
know
you-
if that would distribute it, if that's an issue.
Or what do y'all think?
Makes no difference either way to me.
Okay. Would it, okay. So probably what we can do is if, for sure, the motions come up and you're on the committee, that it's from, somebody from the committee, go ahead and make the motion. Would that be, yeah? Because you also know more about what it is, so if any other questions come up, you guys can address it.
And
Is
they,
this-
oh,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Just, I agree with it. Feedback from, where did this feedback come from?
No, I couldn't understand.
Where did the feedback come from?
Well, as far as this?
Yeah, just the recommendation. I didn't know if it was something that, was there something that wasn't appealing to?
Yeah.
So it was actually just mentioned in one of the processes from one of my committee meetings. And I just said, I bring it up to our president and vice president meeting, just to bring it up. So it was from one of the members and kind of in one of the committees. So.
Okay.
where
And so, yeah, and I think
More
we
about
agreed to say, let's
processes.
bring it to the board for you guys to make a discussion on it, and
and I think in terms of the community, if they see that we're all kind of equally engaged and we have our, they know that I'm going to support close-up and so on. I just think that is good for what we do. You know, it's more, you know, it's even distributed and so on, maybe. When I was not here, you notice things when you have to listen from home, and sometimes our voices aren't clear, and I'm sure I'm not clear all the time, so it's just something to consider.
And I know I mentioned to Harvey a few meetings ago about making sure we have enough time to discuss, which you've been
Yes.
doing really good by stopping and saying, is there any comments? Because if we don't do some of those processes, I think the audience or the public look like we are just rushing through stuff and that there's not a big backside to it. So I do appreciate you making sure that we have the opportunity for discussion and stuff. So,
Anything else to add to this discussion? All right. So probably, if you're on the committee, make the motion. If nobody's here from the committee, then
jump in.
go for it.
Along those same lines, is something that, just for clarity, not all of us are on video. So is that a carryover from COVID times when we were not in person? I didn't jump on today because I came in after my work meeting. So from a consistency, if we're looking to change things, what do we want to do for that?
Yeah, what do we want to do with that? Because I know I keep forgetting mine by the time I rush to get here.
Yeah.
Because we do a online part of it too, right? So
Yep.
it's part of for this, right? What would you guys like to do?
I think we should all be on camera.
I would like either one or the other. It doesn't make
Yeah.
a difference to me.
Just be consistent.
I don't have an opinion.
All right. I'll make mine work, but 3 computers to carry around now.
Okay.
All right, we'll work on that. All right, very good. All right, any other comments or questions from board members?
While we have some of our administrators here, I want to mention that I am so appreciative of the monthly updates that we get.
Yeah.
We may not say that, but we read them, and we appreciate all that you do. Thank you.
Very good.
My only comment is on one of the monthly updates.
Oh.
I've left it up here. In our packet, we see it, but folks at home don't.
Yeah.
CTE received $35,000 worth of grants.
Yay.
Auto received a alignment machine, which is great, because now I can get free alignments. Sports medicine has an ultrasound machine, which would be great for them. And it looks to be a skeleton for joint repair, maybe, joint problems. And then there's also a drone on here, and I'm going to ask Mr. Fry to help me out where that goes. Great. Thank you.
Cool.
So that's great for those programs, and whoever did the paperwork on that, it's much appreciated.
Was that you, Carrie? Or you? Okay, I was like, I saw a hand, but I didn't know, like, I thought it was a point. Good job, Mark.
Yeah. There's so many things that are behind the scene that many people are not aware of. So we do appreciate each and every one of the staff members of this community school.
Anything else?
I have one more comment. I know you mentioned the bleachers earlier at the middle school, but that is a huge relief
Yes.
from a parent that transports from back and forth to schools and getting kids to different schools of where they don't have practice, but they have school or whatever it is. I'm hoping that eases some of the gym time scheduling pains, I guess, that the athletic coordinators and directors face.
And could you clarify for those who are not aware how we got those bleachers?
Yeah, so we received a donation, and I forgot which family donated. So we received a donation, and we were able to use part of that donation for the bleachers. And in addition to that, the district then spent the other money to help fill in what the donation did not cover. So that's how we were able to get it. So lots of comments and feedback about it. Our team got together to make it happen, actually, from the athletic department, athletic director, assistant athletic director, our finance person, Carrie, and then the maintenance and operations department, Mark and his team, actually put them together and got them in there. So with some help, I believe some volunteers also were in there helping to put the bleachers together. So it was a full around team effort on that.
Awesome. All right. Anything else? All right. Our next board meeting is Monday, March 13th at 6, and we stand adjourned.